In a time when Israel had turned its back on God, when kings bowed to idols and truth was a whisper in the wind, one man dared to speak for the Almighty. His name was Elijah, a rugged prophet from Gilead, with fire in his spirit and courage that could shake mountains. The land was drowning in sin. King Ahab, led by his wicked queen Jezebel, had filled Israel with the worship of Baal. Altars to the true God were torn down, the prophets were slaughtered, darkness reigned, and Elijah was called to shine a light. He stood before King Ahab and declared, "As surely as the Lord lives, there will be no rain, no dew, not a drop, unless I say so." And with that, the skies shut. A divine drought began. God led Elijah east to a hidden brook named Cherith. There, in secret, the prophet drank from the stream, while ravens brought him bread and meat, morning and evening. But as the drought worsened, the brook dried up. Then the Lord spoke again. "Go to Zarephath, a widow there will feed you." When Elijah arrived, the woman was gathering sticks, preparing one final meal for herself and her son before they starved. Elijah asked her for bread and water. She hesitated. They had only a handful of flour and a drop of oil left. But Elijah promised, "If you feed me first, your jar of flour will not empty. Your jug of oil will never run dry, until the Lord sends rain again." She obeyed, and just as Elijah said, day after day, their supplies never ran out. Life returned to her home. But tragedy struck. The widow's son became gravely ill and died. In grief, she turned on Elijah, asking if the God had come to punish her. Elijah carried the boy to the upper room, laid him on his bed, and cried out to God, "Lord, have you brought this sorrow upon her? Bring the child's soul back." He stretched himself over the child 3 times and prayed, and God heard. The boy breathed again. Life returned. The widow wept with joy, saying, "Now I know you are a man of God." Years passed, the land still dry. Then God told Elijah, "Go, show yourself to Ahab. I will send rain." Along the way, Elijah met Obadiah, a servant of the king, who had secretly saved 100 prophets from Jezebel's wrath. Obadiah feared delivering Elijah's message, but Elijah assured him, "I will meet Ahab today." When Ahab saw Elijah, he sneered, "So it's you, the troublemaker of Israel." But Elijah stood firm. "I'm not the problem, you are. You and your false gods have brought this curse." Elijah issued a challenge. "Bring all of Israel to Mount Carmel. Call the 450 prophets of Baal. We'll see whose God is real." On the mountaintop, Elijah addressed the crowd. "How long will you waver? If the Lord is God, follow him. If Baal is God, follow him." The people were silent. Elijah proposed a test: 2 bulls, 2 altars, no fire. "Call on your God," he said. "I'll call on mine. The God who answers by fire. He is God." The prophets of Baal went first. They danced, they shouted, they slashed themselves until blood flowed. From morning until evening, they called out, "Baal, answer us." But there was nothing. No fire, no voice, no God. Then Elijah rebuilt the altar of the Lord using 12 stones, 1 for each tribe of Israel. He placed the bull, arranged the wood, and dug a trench around the altar. Then he did the unthinkable. He drenched the altar in water, not once, not twice, but 3 times, until everything was soaked and water filled the trench. Then Elijah prayed, "Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, show them today that you are God, and turn their hearts back to you." And then fire fell from heaven. It consumed the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, the water, the dust, everything. The people fell on their faces, crying out, "The Lord, He is God." Elijah commanded, "Seize the prophets of Baal." Not one escaped. Justice was swift. Their lies died with them. Then Elijah turned to Ahab and said, "Go eat, rain is coming." On the mountaintop, Elijah bowed low to the earth and prayed. He sent his servant to look toward the sea 6 times, nothing. But the 7th time, a cloud appeared, small as a man's hand. Soon, the sky darkened, thunder rolled, rain poured down. The drought was over. But Elijah's battle wasn't. When Jezebel heard of Baal's defeat, she sent a death threat. "By this time tomorrow you'll be dead." Elijah fled into the wilderness, worn down, afraid, alone. He sat under a tree and prayed, "Lord, I've had enough. Take my life." But God wasn't finished with him. An angel woke him and said, "Arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you." Strengthened by heavenly food, Elijah walked 40 days and nights to Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. There, in a cave, Elijah poured out his heart. "I've been faithful, but I'm alone. They've killed your prophets. They want me dead." God told him to stand on the mountain. A mighty wind tore through, but God wasn't in the wind. An earthquake followed, but God wasn't there. Then came fire, but still no God. Finally, a whisper, a still small voice. That was God. In that whisper, Elijah found purpose again. God told him, "You are not alone. 7,000 in Israel have not bowed to Baal. Go, anoint new kings. Find Elisha. He will carry your mantle." Elijah obeyed. He found Elisha plowing the fields and threw his cloak over him. Elisha left everything to follow him. Years passed, and when the time came for Elijah to leave this world, he and Elisha walked together one final time. At the Jordan River, Elijah struck the water with his cloak, and it parted. The two crossed on dry ground. Elijah turned to his disciple. "What do you want from me?" Elisha answered, "A double portion of your spirit." "You've asked a hard thing," Elijah said, "but if you see me when I'm taken, it will be yours." Suddenly, a chariot of fire pulled by horses of flame appeared. A whirlwind swept Elijah up to heaven. Alive, Elisha cried out, "My father, my father!" The mantle fell from at Elijah's shoulders, and Elisha picked it up. The torch had been passed. A prophet's fire now burned in another. And so, the story of Elijah reminds us, even in the darkest times, one voice lit by faith can call down fire from heaven.